Consuelo Maria Callahan, also known as Connie Callahan, and I am a circuit judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. Well, I say I'm from Stockton because it's the longest place I've ever lived, but I actually was born in the Bay Area. But I took my first job out of law school at the city attorney's office. And when I graduated from law school, it was a very different time. There were less than 10 women in my class. And I was very concerned about whether I was going to actually be able to get a job. So I actually took the first job that someone offered to me, and it was one of my classmates. His friend was the city attorney in Stockton, and his friend had a wife that had gone to Stanford. I did my undergraduate at Stanford, and she wanted her husband to hire a woman. So I seemed to, on a couple of levels, meet the bill, and he hired me. But I really knew that was not the job I wanted. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I never thought about working for a judge or clerking, which was kind of a mistake in my career, I think. But I just wanted to be in the courtroom. Why would I want to help a judge when I could do it myself? And I had worked for the public defender's office when I was in law school, but this summer and during the year. So I jointly applied to the PD and the DA, and the DA offered me a job the day before the public defender. And so I think I would have taken the public defender if I'd had a choice, but I think it was a better choice for me to be a DA. And then I was a prosecutor for 10 and a half years, lived in a courtroom, did 70 jury trials, tried cases back to back, began the child abuse sexual assault unit in the DA's office in San Joaquin County, headed up the career criminal, and also did capital cases. And so I was the first woman to be appointed and the first Latina to the San Joaquin County Superior Court, which was in the early 90s. So it's sort of surprising. Stockton was a bit provincial, and so I had a lot of firsts in my career, and there were a lot of times I was the only woman in the room when I was doing trials, and then when I was on the Superior Court, and then when I was appointed to the 3rd DCA, I was only one of 10 justices. I always said they'd have one of us. I took Janice Brown's spot. You know, they would have one woman, whether they needed one or not. So I spent 6.5 years there, and then when the federal court came knocking, I went to there, and I've just completed 20 years on the federal courts. Well, I got involved in the Inn of Court probably like many of the people in the Inn of Court. Justice Art Scotland was my presiding justice when I joined the 3rd DCA, and he came down to my chambers to welcome me. We had been law school classmates, so we knew a bit of each other, but we had gone separate ways. I lived in Stockton, he was in Sacramento. So he welcomed me to the court, and about 2 seconds later, he said, "You need to join the Inn of Court." And I go, "Oh, I wasn't familiar with the Inn movement." And I said, "Well, that sounds wonderful." And that was the beginning. And then pretty much I knew I was on the XCOM, and the next thing I knew, I was the president of the Inn, and the rest is somewhat history. I've had a very long relationship since probably it would be like the end of 1996 to the present, that I have remained very involved with the Inns, and it's been one of the most rewarding components of my professional and personal life. We had a skit, and I was wearing my robe in the skit, and then I jumped up, peeled the robe off on the bench that we had, and did a little tap ditty for them, and I was wearing this red sequins outfit, and people were just aghast. And so that one has followed me, but it was fun. I like the surprise of it, and I think that I like that people, they can think you're a certain way, but you're always so much more. And I think that makes people identify more with you. That was one. I can remember comments that people made. I remember one of a team that I led that I think we got 3rd in the nation. I was stressed about that. I didn't see why we didn't get 1st or 2nd, but my presiding judge at the time was Bob Puglia, and Bob was raising his hand, and he was trying to jump ahead of other people, and figured he kind of like, since he was my presiding judge, I would call on him first, and he's just trying to he said, "You're not my presiding judge here." I said that and then I thought, oh boy, I shouldn't have said that. And I remember another time when one older Inn member I could qualify as older as well, but made some very comment about traditional women, and women were more nurturing and were more meant, with children and all of that. And so you have a room of professional women in there, and there was like a gasp that came over the audience. But that was the thing that I liked. I don't know whether he made it provocatively. He could have very well believed it, but the way that the end works, and with the moderation and how we discuss stereotypes, we discuss difficult issues, and we discuss them openly. There truly is a free speech zone there. That those kind of provocative comments allow for further discussion and hearing other people's perspective, which I do think that that's really important for people to have a place to say what they think and feel that they can safely participate in a discussion. But I also think it makes you a better lawyer. Being a good lawyer means there's certain things you have to hear that you don't want to hear. You've got to hear both sides of it. And as lawyers, sometimes we just want to hear the side that reinforces our position. So I think that the Inn is a really good place to be a free speech zone. The Hammies, like many things in the Anthony M. Kennedy Inn, go back to Art Scotland, and he decided that that would be a good way to recognize people's accomplishments and just for us to have fun and give a little bit of kind of put a little fire in everyone's belly so that they could win one of these like super cheap little trophies. However, the acknowledgement of your peers that you've done a good job. And so we started that, and he got me as a willing partner, and so we just decided, and I never wanted to walk away from an opportunity to dress up in, various formals, tiaras, Art has tails, all of that. And so we just had a lot of fun doing it, and people seemed to really enjoy seeing other people get awards, and they hoped they would get one of the coveted Hammies. And then we always kept, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of over the top, and it was different than any other inn. But at end, we always had like the voice of conscience. We came back to our values and made sure that we recognized that. And the most coveted awards were always the people that really embodied what the inn movement is all about. So it just, people loved it, responded to it, and so we've kept it going.